So you'll see that we have somebody new, but we're going to go to a website called genzintravel.com. And we now own genzintravel.com, which redirects to a page on millennialsintravel.com because we've decided to look to the future. We didn't necessarily have any help when we launched this organization. And Derek, who's on this call with the TTC, reached out and was like, hey, are you guys going to do anything about Gen Z in travel? And like, actually, we had been talking about it for a little bit. So we decided to kind of move forward with this. And so we, the last week, have been working on the development of that. So the acquisition of different socials and DBAs and the formalities of it. But we now have, this is a private page, not private, it's a hidden page on the website. So you can still access it, but it's not linked from anything on the website. But basically it's talking about Gen Z and travel. And we want to be that catalyst and the resource for the next generation. And Gen Z is in the workforce, or they're starting to join the workforce, 23, 24. And we want to be that organization to help them. So that being said, we have Derek Fine, who's on the call. He is going to be the Gen Z advisor for Millennials in Travel. And through that, he'll be able to share insight on the buzzword. I mean, everything Gen Z, I'm hoping.
Just a lot of TikTok,
Yeah. I actually forwarded an article. I think it was just like, did I send to you, Caitlin and Kate? It was just like, the terminology that Gen Z uses, and like I don't know any of it. But I think it's more than the Gen Z, but I think it's going to be, Millennials in Travel started the reason that Millennials in Travel started is because we felt that there was a gap in the industry. And I say that it's from the introduction of online travel, and just travel wasn't seen as a viable career. And so there's this gap, and we wanted to be a strong community as we matriculate through the industry. And with recent events, I fear that the same thing's going to happen, that Gen Z is going to not see tourism and travel as a viable career option. And so there might be a new gap, of which hopefully us as an organization can help bridge that gap through programs of focusing more on bringing new people into the industry, helping them achieve their goals, and things are going to be different. I mean, I think things are going to be different for us as a generation now that we're going through this COVID time of, how we work. And, we had this survey that we did back in 2018 on the millennials in the workforce and what we want. And I think that's come to light in a lot quicker way than what it normally would have been, because we've been pushed to the extremes of trying to figure out, how do we do business? How do we engage? How do we maintain engagement with consumers? And so I think, we can be that resource for Gen Z. We're obviously already that resource for millennials in travel, but I think it's just going to be a great opportunity for us to have a succession plan, not only for the industry, but nobody else is really tackling this. I don't think that they are. I think that they probably believe that there's, it shouldn't happen for another 10 years or so. And I don't agree. I think the other directors don't agree as well. And so we decided to put focus on this. And I'm pleased to welcome Derek onto our national leadership team, and he'll be underneath the director of strategic development, myself, focusing on, this, and it's going to be developing over the next couple of months and years. I'm not saying, I think we have 16 people on our database that are considered Gen Z. So it's a very small group, but I think we're going to see that grow. So Derek, welcome to the group. And if you want to give a little background about yourself, that'd be great.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me, guys. How this came about was I was on LinkedIn, as a Gen Z normally does, and I stumbled across the Millennial and Travel LinkedIn page. Very quickly, kind of saw like Anina was a part of it, and then I looked to see how I could kind of reach out to Josh, and I did a reach out saying how I see Gen Z as I mean, obviously the future, but especially during this time of COVID, that there has been that kind of tarnished, do I have a stable job if I go into travel, kind of what Josh was speaking on to earlier. And if I mean, and if I put myself in the shoes of someone graduating from college and I'm wanting to be in travel, but there isn't like a safe space for me to go to. There isn't that community, that support system. And if that's not there, I may be less likely to be or pursue the travel industry as a viable career path. But coming in as Gen Z in travel, what I hope to accomplish with everyone here, and I mean, again, thank you for being so welcoming, all you guys, is to be that support structure that could sway someone or could persuade someone to be or to pursue that career path, because there is that Gen Z presence already there, that there is a landing pad of a support system for them to get there. And a little brief intro on myself. I've been working at the Travel Corporation since September of 2019. So I had 6 months and then everything kind of changed, but it was, and I'm not regretting it at all. It was a great decision. And I went to school at the University of San Diego, majored in marketing and economics. And yeah, I mean, it's been a roller coaster so far, but I'm excited and I can't wait for what the future holds.
Thanks, Derek. Yeah, I think, and you're also you're in a great company, very diverse and expansive in the industry, and then also a role of working with tourism boards. And I shared that, that was my start in the industry. And as we continue to develop the organization, it's really working with this unbiased sector who provides professional development and resources of just sharing. And their goal is to, share knowledge and have people travel and travel is that empowering force that, as much as it benefits the traveler, and it creates excitement, it also does the same for the people in the destinations that they go to. In that, this is one of the things that I learned and studied. And since the last time I finished my master's, so I now have a master's in sustainable tourism. And so one of the things is, by visiting these other communities, it actually helps provide self-worth to other people or the people in those communities, and that they feel, they're excited that people actually want to come and see, how they live, where they live, their culture, and it gives them a sense of purpose. And I think that's what we all are trying to accomplish. And so we'll try to do that through the organization as well, domestically, and trying to showcase the value of travel, as a career. So Monica has joined us. Hello, Monica. And so I'm going to
Hi, guys.
Jump in.
Hi, Derek. It's so nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. I'm
going to jump into presenter mode. This is the first time I'm doing. This is the first time I'm doing it from Google. So
I can do it if you want.
Yes, please. Thank you.
You need to stop sharing, it looks like, and then.
Okay, you tell me what to do.
Let me just. Cool. So, okay. Do you see it now?
Yes.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
Hey guys, sorry, I was rushing back from a quick trip to the airport, which is exciting. It's always exciting going to the airport, even if I'm not flying somewhere, and just giving someone a ride. So I'll just jump right in with our meeting today. I thought I'd kick things off today with just kind of giving you a bit of an update. This time around, starting with sort of our meeting agendas and recordings and meeting minutes, we're having multiple meetings a month. I'm having meetings with all of the chapters, meetings with the national team, et cetera. So just wanted to kind of let you guys know going forward. And what I did this time was send you a link to the agenda, and hopefully you were able to access it if you needed to. I tried to make it so that anyone with a link could edit the document. So going forward, instead of just sending me anything you have to add to the agenda, I'm going to send you a link, and then you can go in and add things to the agenda yourself, because it takes a bit of time to kind of put these together. So all the help that I have, the better. So I'll send you a link to an agenda, and then follow up, of course, afterwards with a recording with notes and such. But I would also encourage people, as we're talking about, the various projects that you're working on, and the components that relate to your position in MIT, to take notes on your end as well. And please don't just rely on my notes to be able to kind of move forward with any action, because I might not be able to get those to you right away with everything else going on. So please make sure, take your own notes on things that we're working on that pertain to you, please. And then I'll be sure to send, a recap of the meetings as soon as I can. Also, just a reminder, we're recruiting for a number of leadership positions. Thank you so much to Kim for sending through a couple of referrals. I actually have calls with your two colleagues, friends, associates this week, so looking forward to meeting with them. We also have a handful of chapter officer roles we're looking to fill. So if anyone has any recommendations for people that would like to get involved with any Millennials in Travel, whether on a national or an officer level position, please continue to send those my way. We have a few roles to fill. And then I also wanted to give you a quick update on our chapters and some of the events. I've been spending the last couple of weeks, and now going forward a few more meetings this week, doing individual chapter strategy meetings. I'm going to share with you just real quickly to show you kind of what those look like, and just a little bit of the content that I'm going over with them, because I think it will kind of help to get a better understanding of that. Just give me 1 second.
Mon, were you going to elaborate on the positions at all?
I can, yeah, I certainly can.
I can just do that while you're looking. So
yeah,
we've had some changes. So Carolyn unfortunately had to step down from her position, as we kind of often see with people as they develop their own careers. Sometimes the volunteering with Millennials in Travel, it's just not possible. And so Carolyn unfortunately had to step down. And the same happens with Jessica for our digital. So those two team members we've unfortunately lost in the last month or 6 weeks. So we're looking for new people to help us in that regard. And I think we're also looking at really expanding our communications team. I think that's where really everything touches communications, as we've talked about in the past. So we're still looking for somebody for professional development, and that's really focusing on the jobs. Jobs they're out there. We're getting so many inquiries for job postings. I think there's a lot of opportunities. People are scrambling to try to find roles.
Right now, a lot of opportunities.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We're also, as we look to increase our exposure and get back to in-person events, we actually used to have a director of events who handled events that kind of kind of fell on the chapter teams. We want to bring back a national manager of events to really focus on these ad hoc events that are happening in conjunction with other trade shows that Monica has listed kind of lower down. The consortia, the trade shows, the conferences, as well as the virtual events. I think we're going to continue those. And actually, in Monica's conversations with the chapters, each chapter is responsible for hosting one virtual meeting a year, or virtual event rather.
Virtual event, yeah.
Yes, and then also with public relations, again, we're trying to maintain relevancy in the industry. And so somebody focusing on PR, that one we're not going to be prospecting for, like putting it out there, but because we don't want people that aren't qualified to apply. I mean, you really need to have a special skill set for that. And then filling the digital, again, it's probably going to be content focused versus a website. And I think what we're going to do is we're going to pull the website updating aspect under like a technology role or an operations role. And again, trying to fill somebody for Carolyn's position of operations to support Monica. So those are kind of the the outline of like what we're looking for. So if you know of anybody in, maybe it's, event planning, like they're in event planning, not necessarily tourism, but I mean, that is a touristic aspect or a sector. Or anything else is kind of, the jobs, those are trainable. I would just say the PR aspect is not a trainable role. And that the other ones, it's just, working through and training that person on what to be done. And yeah, so.
Yeah, no, definitely. Thank you, Josh. Yeah, no, for most of the positions, for somebody that wants to get involved and kind of explore having a leadership role in the travel industry, we've got those opportunities. The PR one obviously requires a little bit more of kind of contacts in the PR world and with media. And then also with the chapter roles, we're looking right now for someone to fill a role in San Diego. We have one position open in San Diego. We have, of course, 3 positions open in Dallas. We want to not forget about, we did launch Dallas. We want to bring Dallas back. We've got Zach there. I definitely want to continue doing the development of our Texas chapter. And then with Miami, I just found out this week that Hannah, who is in Miami, is moving to New York. So it's sort of a, oh no, but oh, that's great news, because she's going to fill that 4th position in New York, and she's phenomenal. So she's going to take on that 4th position in New York, which is going to really help propel, I think, the New York chapter moving forward. So we now have 3 open positions in Miami. So if you know anyone in Miami or in Dallas or in San Diego, let us know. Definitely need some people to fill those roles. And then, of course, as other cities start to develop, I have a long list here on the agenda that I'll show you here in just a moment for other chapter development that we want to focus on. But I quickly also just want to share with you the chapter strategy that I kind of went over briefly with. I'm going to do it briefly with you. It's about an hour-long meeting with each of the chapters, but I'm just going to show you quickly kind of some of the highlights. So you might be seeing the presenter screen, but that's fine. You can see at least the screen, right, where it says chapter strategy. Josh, yes?
Yep.
Anyone? Yeah? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, you can see it.
So, yeah, okay. Sorry. I don't know what my system is doing here. All right. So you kind of went through like overall, remember the chapter officers really kind of, they are a team of 4 despite what their roles are. And so I've not just tasks, but sort of goals for that in general to kind of focus on under the 4 components of development, membership, events, and communications. So they're all very excited. I've had my meetings so far with Los Angeles, with Chicago, and with New York, and they're all ready to hit the ground running and already developing some plans and things to do. So just wanted to kind of update you on what we're doing in terms of getting the chapters reinvigorated to kind of bring back in-person events and get things going again. A big focus, of course, on communications. As Josh said, everything that we do touches communications. So that has to do with our chapter officers or our chapters as well. So we're really going to try to engage them more. And I would continue to remind you guys on your side to use our officers, to engage with the officers, and then in turn, they will utilize and contact the membership. Kate just ran lists for us. We have 420 people on our database for New York. We have 230 people for Chicago alone. So those lists are there, those people are there, and there's a plethora of, I guess, resources for people to get involved in, like the different initiatives and projects and things we're working on. So just remember to use the officers, and in turn, I've been encouraging them to do the same as well. When it comes to events, because of course the kind of the basis for what the chapters do is holding their in-person events. We've kind of set forth a guideline where, each year they will commit to hosting 4 professional networking events each year in person, as well as 1 virtual event, as well as 1 sort of social event. So that could be during the summer or during the holidays, or both if they prefer. Those are just supplemental to the 4 networking events and the 1 virtual event. And then I've thrown in a philanthropic event, which of course ties to Zach's position and what he does, and just encouraging the officers in each chapter to work with our national manager of philanthropy to sort of develop a more philanthropic angle for millennials in travel. And I can talk, individually with you, Zach, a little bit more about that. And I've provided them with an entire timeline and process to kind of give them some guidance going forward. So I think in the past, I've heard from our officers like, okay, we're supposed to have an event, but how do we do it? What's the timeline? What are we supposed to do? So this kind of quickly lays things out in one page for them. It doesn't become too overwhelming to kind of help give them some guidance on that. Josh is putting the finishing touches on a new event plan submission form that it will be available through our leadership landing page on our website. So going forward, our chapter officers will be able to submit their ideas and proposals for their events, hit send, and it'll be sent to the appropriate people. So
I think I just,
myself, I'll approve the event and then.
Mon, I just grabbed your screen. So basically, people might be getting random emails as we're going through the testing. So basically, this event form, and we were creating forms for almost everyone, in which they fill this out, and like, for instance, virtual event requirements. If it's not a virtual event and it's just in person, like that's actually removed. If it's a virtual event, like the information about the in-person event is removed. For philanthropy, then it's like it can so we're setting up all of these roles. So over the next, I would say, like week, you guys might be getting random emails about stuff. About this. So
so like once the event is approved, we'll have to kind of add in that somehow, Josh, where like I approve it and then it is clear to go through everyone else. So it might involve, it definitely might involve Zach. Obviously, if it's a philanthropy event, it's going to involve our communications team for promoting on social media and the invites. So we're obviously just in a continued effort to streamline, the exchange of information. So with the online submission form instead of back and forth emails. And then wrapping up on that, let me get back to that. Here we go. Okay. Come on. It's not going. Sorry, guys.
Monica, this is overall looks really great. You did a great job.
Thank you. Sorry, now my computer's frozen. Okay, let me try again. Josh stole my screen. Now I can't get back there.
I gave it back to you, I think.
I know.
Didn't I?
You can't see it right now, can you? No. Hold on. Here it is. All right. So they have the timeline and the process for both virtual and in person. And then last but not least, membership engagement. So obviously we want to increase membership. We want to focus on the accuracy of our database. So Kate, this is where you'll come in. I've also kind of put under membership, it's almost like a membership engagement or benefits component, ongoing philanthropic activity. So that's kind of where Zach will come into the picture as well. Sort of just encouraging each chapter to have something ongoing. So there's sort of this ever-present focus on philanthropy and everything that we do. For example, I know some of us will remember in the past when the Los Angeles chapter would collect like unused hotel toiletries, and we would be able to package them as toiletry kits and donate them to charitable organizations. So activities like that. So there's, I think philanthropy is important. It's something that, obviously helps an organization from an optics standpoint, but at the core of what we do, I know all of us personally want to do good and want to give back and help our industry and help people that need help. So we're trying to weave in more philanthropy. So I think that's going to be a pretty important component going forward. So no pressure, Zach, but I think it's going to be an exciting part about the organization as we continue to develop. It's something that's always sort of been there underlining, but hasn't been super present. So I really want to see more of that.
I mean, not even just underlining, but I mean, the core of even what we do, all of us are volunteering. It's to better the industry and to help our colleagues and our industry and our generation and our future generations. So, I mean, I think everything we do is philanthropic. And so, but obviously like having specific focus is different, but.
Yeah, and it ties into, sustainability and the environment. And so it's kind of, I think, probably one of the things that I'm most excited about with the growth and development of Millennials in Travel, because the opportunities are endless. Like, it's never something we've really focused so much attention on, so it's pretty exciting. But again, I'm not going to go through each of these. This is just kind of a quick summary of the presentation that I did with each of the chapters. So they're really getting brought up to speed and kind of getting re-engaged to bring in-person events back. In terms of an update on events, please mark your calendars if you're in Los Angeles or can be in Los Angeles. The LA team plans to have an event on, shoot, what was it? July 28th. July 28th, I think is the date. I'll double check. I'm pretty sure it's July 28th. And the exciting thing about that is that we hope that it's going to be at Shutters, which is actually where we had our inaugural launch, official launch of Millennials in Travel in 2013. So it'll be a great story to tell, to be able to kind of bring everything back post-pandemic and have our first kind of post-pandemic event at the same place where it all started. So that'll be pretty exciting. It will be a smaller event, as I think a lot of the events will continue to be, at least for the foreseeable future, as you know, people are getting back out there, budgets are returning, things like that. So we're not, you know, putting too much pressure on our hotel partners to host events as they did in the past, but really just want to kind of drive home this opportunity to even get 30 or 40 people in the door. And even if it's not hosted, we're doing like, you know, we're asking for happy hour pricing, because I think people will be open to paying a little bit to attend an event. They don't need it to be fully hosted, as long as they have that opportunity to get back together.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing, is that it's not about the free food and beverages and winning a prize or whatever, but just being able to get back with our colleagues and friends and just be in that setting. I think that's what we need to provide that. And so even if it's informal in the beginning, I think that's fine.
Yep. And then just to also, just another update on leadership for the chapters that I forgot to mention is that we have a full team for LA now. They are a pretty green and a newer team. So I'm definitely going to count on, you know, Caitlin and Kate and our friends in Los Angeles to help bring back the Los Angeles chapter to its former glory. Of course, it was our flagship chapter. It's always been our strongest, and I'm sure it will continue to be once they get things rolling again. But we have a full team there now. John Beeler actually just joined the team, and we've got Kara Foster, Jessica Rosen, and Priscilla Padilla. So a full team in Los Angeles, and they're great. They're a strong team, but they are new. They're all new to Millennials in Travel. So, I predict really great things. So good things happening from the chapters. And then on the agenda, you'll see just a few new chapters in development that I mentioned here. I have a call with someone in Vancouver. Actually, two former officers for the YTP chapter of Vancouver are ready to basically convert it to a Millennials in Travel chapter. So that'll be our first Canadian chapter going international, which is exciting, and continued development. I sort of listed them there in order of the way I am coming together. Actually, I meant to put Dallas first, since anyone's recommending these cities, please do let me know.
And I think I think we should probably maybe look at San Francisco as well.
Yeah, I know. I have a lot of others. I just put like the top priorities. I mean, the full list is long. The full list is really long. Yeah. So that's pretty much it. In each chapter, I think, you know, that plan I just showed you is a 2-year plan, where I hope that means that each chapter officer will at least commit to a 2-year commitment to Millennials in Travel, and with, you know, 4 in-person events each year, 1 virtual event, and then a social event and a philanthropic event. So a total of 6 in-person events and 1 virtual event each year is sort of kind of the underlining plan. And then each chapter is going to, you know, personalize that for their region. But then of course we also have opportunities for national events. So certainly having someone come on board to help with those will be great. Josh, do you want to talk a little bit more about the Travel Adventure Show, and then we can transition?
Sure. I mean, I spoke with Elizabeth, she's not on this call, but to re-engage the conversation with Travel and Adventure Show. So we actually are listed on their schedule. So they're launching their in-person events or shows in the fall. And we're actually listed as hosting panel discussions in Denver, Dallas, and I think one more. Did we operate Denver last year? Or did
Yes.
COVID hit right before?
No,
Okay, so
we
we
did.
did Denver, but we did not do Dallas.
Correct.
Okay, so the Dallas one's canceled. So basically kind of put together, let's also look at shows or doing events around those shows as well. But there could be opportunities if anybody is going to be going to those shows, like for their work, then we can have that conversation as far as like participating in a panel. I'm not even sure what we're committed to. They've gone through some reorganization as well. So our primary contact is no longer there. So I'm not even sure what we're committed to, but we will be finding that out.
Okay. And then obviously trade shows are returning, whether we're ready for them or not, they are coming back. So we've got Virtuoso Travel Week. And then of course, Signature, they're just doing virtual. Well, they have their actual in-person event is it October or November? I can't remember off the top of my head right now, but we've got
It's November, I think, beginning of November.
Thank you. Okay, so Virtuoso Travel Week in August, Signature in November. Proud and Ellie Miami are both in November. So I will be at Proud. I will be in Miami during Ellie. So we're encouraging, our New York and our Miami chapters to host events during those dates. But those will be things that, will be coming down the pipeline. Again, hopefully we have someone come on board to help us with national events. But if you're attending any of these shows, we'll certainly look forward to having.
Mon, can we get Rebecca Stacy? Can we get her back on board? Where is she?
Absolutely. She just announced today that she's the
Cork. I saw
the new
Cork.
hire for Cork.
But
yeah.
is she, whether she's Miami or back in Las Vegas, I don't know. But let's chat
She's
with
still in Las Vegas. I don't know if she plans to move because I know she
Okay.
no longer is tied to Vegas.
Okay.
Cut that connection. So
yeah.
she divorced that connection, so she might be able to leave Vegas. So
Okay.
let me find out from her if we can get her back involved.
Okay, cool.
So that's it. I know that was a lot on events, quick kind of organizational chapter update. Anina, I'll turn it over to you to give us your overview on FAMS.
Hi, everybody. First of all, I kind of want to bring up to your attention that we didn't get a lot of applications for the Los Cabos FAM, and I know Michelle has started pushing it again on social media because the deadline is at the end of this week, and we only got 3 applications. And this one actually accepts quite a lot of people. So, and I checked on the invitation, the number of openings is the same as before. So I don't understand really what the issue is, but I also brought up to Michelle yesterday when we chatted over the phone really quick. I said, this one allows companions. And so maybe we have to put that up a little bit more too, because I think that might push some more people towards that one. And then next week, we have already the Riviera Maya email scheduled for Tuesday, which that one only allows 6 people plus the host and no companions. So I think we just need to make sure that we really get it out to more people. I don't know if you guys want to.
Anina, did we, where did we include rhetoric about there being a companion?
It wasn't the email, yeah. I mean, it wasn't the terms and conditions, so it wasn't like super, yeah.
So maybe we need to, obviously draw attention to that on socials, but then I'll tweak the website to put more focus on that.
Yeah.
And
I also just wonder, I feel like I've seen a lot of agents going to Cabo on their own. So I wonder, it's just been like a really popular destination for people to be going to the past like 6 months. So I wonder if that's also a thing, but I think the companion thing is definitely worth highlighting.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is there an additional cost for the companion?
No, there is not. And there is in the terms and condition, it says they even included they're just excluded in one thing. And I think that was maybe the spa treatment, and the rest they're actually included.
Fully inclusive.
Yeah.
And how many, up to how many people?
So they allow 10 people with companions or 15 with singles. So it's a really big fam.
Wow. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we might need to extend that, obviously.
Anyone can if anyone can also, I guess, just help share on their social media, that can help as well. And I'll post the links in the chat.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, so that's I also need to touch base with Amy. She's the one who's hosting this one. I haven't spoken to her in a couple of weeks actually, so I just want to touch base, and maybe she can also spread the word a little bit since she's hosting it. And then Riviera Maya, Josh is actually hosting, and again, it's scheduled to be sent out next week. I don't know if we need to push this, if we want to push Los Cabos a little bit. But we can't push it too long either because it's coming up in the beginning of August. So
Maybe what we do is I'm really bad with Mexican geography. They're on the different coasts, right?
yes, they are.
Okay, so maybe we do, like, if we have to do another email blast, I guess, or draw attention to it, of saying like, hit one of the coasts, either coast, to push both of them, and then like later, like in a little bit, then send a dedicated email for the Riviera Maya one.
Okay.
Maybe? I don't know. I'm gonna let Caitlin and Michelle, you guys.
Well, I
I
almost
don't-
feel like we should edit that like even the one I'm looking at right now, Monty, because I did that, the Los Cabos one, and I don't recall even including anything about the companion. So I feel like we need to go back in there and edit that.
I did a new one today, Caitlin, so I mentioned
awesome.
Yeah.
it. It's at the
Yeah,
top.
Michelle and me had touched base yesterday, and I had said that because it just sprung to my mind. I was like, oh, maybe we should push this. Yeah. So
Can we
okay.
romanticize it at all? Like just even, it need a break with your. I don't know. I don't know. I'm just trying to think. outside the
Well, but
box.
it
So,
still
like,
should be educational, right? So I think we kind of run into that issue a little bit if you post
Right.
it
What
as
are-
a
what are the
romantic
activities?
getaway.
I mean,
Yeah, we
I
want
get
people-
that,
Yeah.
but they're open to companions and it's all inclusive. Like, what do they think is going to happen?
Right.
Okay.
Anyways,
But yeah, so that's kind of
strange that we haven't had that
can
many. I'm actually, I'm still surprised we haven't had that many applicants, but
yeah. Actually, we
on.
received, the application we received too, because we had included it in the newsletter before we actually sent the invitation out. And that's when I think we got 2 applications. And then the other one was, I'm not sure if that one was from the email either. It was, I think, from social media, like a post after that. So the invitation was just not very,
And you looked at the stat. We looked at the stats for that
Sorry, I don't know how.
that distribution.
Sorry, guys.
well, I looked at it and the opening percentage was the same as the email before for Turks and Caicos, which we got so many applications for, right? One thing I noticed was for Turks and Caicos, like it took quite a little bit to finalize the participants because we had
Yeah.
several people back out.
Yeah.
So that I learned a little bit from that side that I need to give myself a little bit more time and actually just get a waiting list right away, because that was just so much back and forth, but we made it. That's the next thing. I'm going to go to Turks and Caicos actually on Friday. The FAM starts on Monday. Very excited. I talked to Michelle about that a little bit too, and like to create a little bit of a teaser beforehand, right? And I'm going to try to maybe even poll a little bit while I'm there, just to engage people. I'm actually excited to do that. I love posting stories on Instagram. So yeah, I did receive the sign, so I'm all set with that. And the next hosting opportunities that come up, we have the San Francisco and Napa FAM in September. Fairmont is in, so not Napa, in Sonoma. And so I'm just finalizing those details. Still a couple of things to figure out with the transportation from San Francisco to Sonoma, but I'm working on that. And then we have the Bahamas one in the end of September. So those are the next 2 FAMs that we need hosts for. I'm not sure, to be honest, if the Great Britain one will happen, because Stephen has been pretty like we wanted to touch base and then he didn't have time, and I feel like he was just not quite ready to talk about FAMs for this year. So I feeling that might fall through.
And we can reach out to Manchester, Cardiff, we also Visit Britain itself. Like Stephen was just the first one for Wales. So I wouldn't say that Great Britain's dead. It's just let's explore other options. And I can intro that. Mon, who is the does anybody know the on-site for like Napa Valley? It's like a virtual on-site for Napa Valley. What's her name?
There's a couple now. I think there's a couple.
Viviani, is that?
I think there's a couple different ones now. I can check. Let me check.
Because I'm sure what about Aaron with Ascot? Ascot Limousine.
Yeah.
He's done some organizing in LA. Like I think we had like Malibu Wine Safari, stuff like that.
Yeah. Aaron might.
So reach out to Aaron, and if we have to if we have to include that as like a cost, subsidize, or we'll throw like promotion that way for whoever subsidizes it, but we can work on that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still waiting for Eric from Accord to kind of come back to me, because they might actually also have some contacts, and so I kind of gave that to them first to sort out, because if we don't have to touch it, I think it would be great, and maybe they would even take care of it and stuff. So but yeah, I gave them a little bit of time to sort out those details, because it's not quite in the, I put all in the schedule when the email goes out and so on. We still have some time to finalize that one. The Bahamas one is pretty much finalized. I just need to put the details together, and then, but that's not going to be until a little bit. And then we have San Lucia still coming up. I need to touch base with Elizabeth about the Belmont one. But yeah, so we're pretty full, and I'm starting to already kind of have a couple of conversations about next year. We did get some requests from New Zealand, right? What's happening with this one? So I reached out to Michelle, and she said it's going to happen. If the borders are open, we can travel. We will be probably the only FAM they're going to do next year. So that one is still set. And so, yeah, I think that's it. And then I worked on a post-FAM survey. I'm just waiting for Monica to have a little look at that. But what I did is
I'll look over that with Josh, and then that's another thing that we'll create basically as an online form. You just send people, but then we need to determine on the back end, what are we doing with that information once they hit submit. So Josh and I need to connect on that for sure. Yeah,
that's fine. And I split it in 3 different portions. I have a participant, a host, the MIT host, which is pretty similar to the participants, and then the hotel or the destination host. And yeah, I think that's it. Then we will also list out the save the date section, where we list all the FAMs that we have in the pipeline. And then one thing that Monica brought up is that, right now we people approached us, and that's how we sorted the FAMs. But if you guys have ideas, especially for 2022, and when it comes to international destinations, please let me know. Obviously we can start planning, and I feel like those international ones take a little bit longer of a planning. So as you guys have ideas, contacts, just shoot them over, and I take it from there.
Yeah, I think we've, long followed a process where someone approached us because they wanted to host a FAM, and we said yes, and then we do it. But, we're in a position where we can think about, where do people want to go? And certainly that can be something we add to a future survey of our members that we intend to do, to find out, to be more proactive about it instead of reactive, and think, where do we want to go? And then let's approach partners in those destinations.
Yeah, and I did include that question also in the survey, because I feel like that's a great tool to ask, right? The participants, where do you want to go next? Do you have any ideas? Yeah.
I also think at some point, as we become more proactive as an organization and looking at larger strategies with destinations, and so it's beyond what can we do beyond hosting a FAM or organizing a FAM on their behalf? Are there educational opportunities? Can we, become more engaged in like perhaps do some focus groups on, when I was working for the South African government, if I could, come to Millennials in Travel and say, hey, I'm going to give you guys $10,000 because I need to figure out what are the top 5 challenges of selling South Africa from the North American market. And then also coming up with, well, how do we combat those challenges in selling it? And what are some strategies and tools that the government can employ to address those issues? I mean, there's a lot that we can do, and that obviously would involve, National Manager of Professional Development and Elizabeth and Youth Industry Relations and myself. I mean, we can get to the point where, we can have enough money to hire Monica full time to run Millennials in Travel. Just kidding, Mom. But I mean, then we can do a lot. No, then we can. I mean, if we can get $30,000 in the bank account, we can, develop an app for Millennials in Travel. Like just things like that. So.
No, just kidding. Also, one thing I didn't list on here that we do need to make sure we're continuing to have a conversation about is introducing a philanthropic activity into our FAMs. So Anina and Zach, maybe you want to connect, separately about that, because I'd like to see that obviously happen going forward as well, and would encourage you to have a conversation about that. And it's just about, finding an activity. Kate, I feel like might have some great ideas about that and some of the destinations you've visited, and have seen, some great things that can be done in certain destinations around the world. And I'm sure we all can, based on our individual kind of.
The last international one in Peru, a couple years ago, we did a philanthropic. It was like an afternoon. It was, I don't want to say it was like cheesy, but it was like painting this cultural mural basically at and so I think that
project.
Yeah. So I think we definitely should always
do. And I think it's just a matter of, asking the partners that are doing the FAM with us, or, looking at the destination and even just asking the tourism board saying, hey, we're coming to your destination for a FAM. We'd like to do, 2 or 3 hours one day to give back to the community or the destination. What can we do? So I want to make sure we add that into the planning process.
And I don't, Travel Corporation has a nonprofit, right, called Tread Right, and they are actually we have our own projects across the world, but it's turning up to do more and more. And so maybe there is even an opportunity to just connect the two depending on where we go, right?
No, definitely. I mean, there's something that we can do in any place that we go. So let's make sure that we remember to do that. And then maybe starting with these 2 Mexico FAMs, we can do something. Sure, there's something we can do in Mexico to help. So, all right. So moving on then, I'll let you and Zach continue that conversation. Over to communications, Caitlin and your team for updates, please.
Yeah, I feel like Josh kind of touched on a few of these items earlier, just kind of with some reframing of the communications team, since we just recently had Dressed Up Down. So we're going to, press release strategy. Yeah, we're going to try to look at hiring somebody, hopefully to bring them on board to focus on press releases. As Monica said earlier, I think that kind of requires a little bit more background. Hopefully this person will have the media contacts that we need and kind of a general understanding on writing and managing press releases. So that's something that's kind of in the pipeline. And then we had discussed kind of an idea called Share Your Story series, which would really just entitle having people kind of, share their stories of how they got into the industry. I think we all kind of have a background or probably a really interesting way of how you found yourself into our industry. So Michelle and I had kind of discussed it a little bit earlier, but I'd also be open to hearing your guys' opinions or your thoughts on this, on how you best see it. We discussed people creating maybe a short video or even putting it in written form and sharing it through our blog or through our social media. So you don't have to answer me now, but if you guys have any thoughts on that, you guys are welcome to email me on that. But it's something that Michelle and I would really love to get off the ground because I think that would be really, really interesting content.
Caitlin, what's the frequency of which you're thinking this could be done?
Honestly,
like once a month?
I think that would be probably the minimum, yeah, right now, just
Okay.
because we're a little bit lean right now. So, and I should also mention, we have the newsletter, June's newsletter is going to be the 22nd, which I'm going to be handling solely until we can bring someone else on board to help.
I think
So
it's
with
also,
all that going on, in addition to the blog goal of trying to have that be
Yeah,
once a week, which I don't think is feasible either right now. But I do think with Monica's strategy that she had shared earlier, on having the each chapter provide
Yeah, we
us
should
with
get
a
more.
blog.
I mean, you guys should not be scared to like push the officers for help. Like,
Yeah,
and John Beeler was the one that actually put it really well when I was going over the communications part of everything. He's like, so it's not so much communications, but it's communications and content distribution. And yeah, that's what he called, looked back into his past. He's like, actually, don't tell many people this, but I was in a fraternity and like that's what I did for my fraternity. And so, there are resources. Think of it like, like a tree with roots, like they are out there and like we should be tapping into all of those resources. And, when we need content, it's not up to us to come up with it. It shouldn't be up to Michelle to come up with every social media post. It shouldn't be up to anyone to come up with that blog content. We should go to the officers, and in turn, the officers will go out to the membership. And that's where we'll see that, cycle of engagement grow.
mhm.
and I think if we can come up with a library of 3 to 4, like these share your stories, 3 to 4 that are just in like, that we work 3 or 4 ahead, just in case we get stopped up and, somebody ends up leaving or whatever, where we can like, okay, well, we can divert focus for this week or this month or whatever. But I think also, yeah, utilizing the members. So, I mean, if we were to put on social media or a poll of like, hey, does anybody have like a really crazy, like fun story of how they got into travel? I'm sure we'd get, people responding, and I don't think we need to necessarily have a finite and static form of delivery for this. I mean, if it's a video or if it's like an interview or if it's written form or like, I think we can mix it up.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, my thought, which I did share with you guys, the directors, and also Michelle, is that in video form, and probably Derek, this, I feel like there's like statistical information that most people have like a window of like 2 seconds, and then they move on to the next thing before they, 2-second attention span. So I just worry that they're not going to watch the whole thing if somebody's sharing their story. So, and that will lose people. So we just have to think a little bit more about how we want to share this information, because I do think it's really cool. How can we keep people's attention span?
Well, what if we do some testing, and what if we actually do like, and we can even do this with like the same type of content. Like if we do like I have a really crazy, funny story of how I got into travel, was not on purpose at all. And so like, if we just took like one person's story and applied it through different ways and put it out there and see like, I don't know how to track all that stuff. Michelle, like if you can figure out some way to identify tracking on it, and we can actually see like what people are responding to.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And then let's see. So also for the blog, I had started creating a document just kind of to help define kind of best practices for when we do start bringing on kind of more like ghost writers, if you will, or contributing writers for our blog. Just kind of help give them structure, but also allow them the same creativity with that. So I have that pretty much almost done. And then, website changes and additions. Josh had mentioned earlier, we'd love to probably bring somebody on to have that kind of maybe fall under technology. But that will be TBD until we can find somebody. I know, thanks, Zach, for that idea. And then I think that's it.
Until then, I can do the website update. So if anybody has anything like that needs updated on the website, or I guess it'll be like more of a team. I'll probably redirect digital to myself, but so if you still email promote at, it'll then go to like Caitlin, Michelle, and then now myself for that.
And then if you're assigning anything on Asana, just instead of tagging Jessica, tag Josh.
Yeah, and then Anita, I'll probably need to get in touch with you about what to include in the newsletter regarding FAMs at some point, or we can talk on Asana or whatever.
Not that this is somewhat communication, but I think we also need to, now that we are kind of looking at Gen Z as well, we had talked about before about having kind of revamping our logo. I'm waiting, actually, it's a voice message that I just haven't listened to, but my friend who has done my logos in the past, but like we talked about maybe polling the membership for like ideas or something. Are we, who's going to take that on as like the lead? And B, like, what are we going to do? And we don't need to talk about this right now, but I know that we had talked about like revamping, and I think now is probably a good time to like revamp. Like, I think our goal in this probably, I'm sorry, Caitlin, for cutting you off, might like be late, like, or maybe it's on the agenda for later, but you know, I think the plan is to really develop this Gen Z concept, or at least the structure, find out where we want to go with it over the next couple months, and then actually do like an announcement and a launch in the fall, even if it's super small. But I think that that point, that could also be a great opportunity and time for us to have a rebranding of our logo. There's, you know, have a Gen Z logo as well. So we just need to be thinking about that over the next couple months.
Yeah, I think too, speaking of polls and like surveys, is I think, you know, we had talked about this, of having like polling or surveying our members also of like what the need is,
Yes.
you know, because I feel like,
that's
you
feedback
know,
I've gotten back from every chapter as well. They're like, we really need to survey our members. Like, we're happy to do all this work and like do all these things and this and that, and like we want to help, but like, is it making an impact? Does it even matter? Like, what do members actually want to see?
Exactly, because I feel like, you know, we're, you know, like Michelle is doing such a great job and with the social media, but I feel like some of the content is really like, you know, she's creating it, which is great, but you know, what is the need of our members, you know, like what do they want to see more of? And I feel like that could apply to pretty much all departments of everybody on this call right now.
And I think
so that we're not
need
just
to
spinning our wheels.
Yep.
We need to look even like take a step back and higher up and further of saying, you know, we had talked about, you know, pulling our members of like, what do you want us, what resource do you want us to be? Like, how can we help you? And, you know, after we figure out and pull them and figure out, you know, what people are looking for in us to help them, then we obviously have to find the channels of which we can distribute that information and things of that nature.
Yeah, and maybe Monica, Josh, Kate, we can delve into that a bit further, because I think it could come from any of our departments, but you know, if it can come from communications too. But I think we should all collaborate and make sure that we're doing it together.
Let's try to, if we can get that maybe by like something formalized by the end of July, like where it's out there to the membership of these two things, of like what purpose do we serve, or what do they want to see from us as an organization, and then how do they want that content and information to be distributed or whatnot. If like those can be kind of two like maybe semi-year goals, I think that would be great.
And
awesome.
in terms of I mean, I have each of the chapters focused on expanding membership right now. So expanding our database for broader, you know, content distribution. So I'll have them focus on that in the next, you know, month to 2 months. And then we'll have hopefully an even broader database to reach out to.
Awesome. And I know we're kind of at the top of the hour already, so I'm going to let Michelle say, I know I'll preface this. Michelle was on an incredible vacation, which looked amazing in Hawaii. So she just has, hers is going to be brief this time because she was out of town for a bit.
Thank you, Caitlin. Yeah, so I'm just kind of, this month, I'll tell you kind of what's working best, at least what I've noticed throughout, you know, since January from what I've been posting per channel. So, and then I can send this out. I'm not going to share my screen right now, but I do have it written if in case you guys want to see or anything like that. But for Facebook, the FAM announcements and after the FAM, when I post the photo albums, those do really well, as well as any interesting articles that we share on travel and polls. Polls actually do the best for every channel. So then moving on to Instagram, Instagram, the announcements for fans as well as newsletters do good. And then polls with questions bring the most engagement, because there I think we have the most engagement where people answer us and like and comment. And then LinkedIn is a little different because it's more, you know, work-based. So new career opportunities always do well. And then when we reshare articles from our partners, that mention us like we did with the FAMs are relaunching and all of those in the last couple of weeks. Those do really, really good, as well as polls. So just something to keep in mind if you guys see any articles or anything from our partners, like when we partner up, you know, that is great to share all over. And then any polls like we're talking about, you know, people want to answer and like to kind of be engaged. That's
Michelle,
kind of,
is there
yes.
is there a list of the polls and the answers that we've asked in the past?
There's
like
not
a
a list.
spread-
They're just
Are-
all
are
on social media.
Okay, so there is like some access point on the social channels that show all of the previous polls and the answers and all of that stuff.
Yes, we can
Okay.
see them all.
Okay.
For Michelle and Caitlin, I have two things. One, with the chapters, two things that I've tasked them with under the communications facet of the organization is to do one social media takeover per month. So each chapter will do one per month. So we need to come up with a way to schedule that, so that they can just somehow easily click and say, this is when I'm doing it. And then of course,
Is that, sorry, on Instagram, on Facebook?
yeah, just like we did for the fan, just like we do for fans.
Okay.
So basically just and they know, like, it can be like the LA chapter had an idea, for example, with them attending the Prost luncheon in Los Angeles to do a social media takeover from the Prost luncheon. It's not an official Millennials in Travel event, but they're going to showcase like Millennials in Travel members out at this industry event. Or if somebody's traveling or doing something that's industry related, they're going to assign it to one of the 4 of the team members or somebody that's in the membership in their city. So we need to find a way to kind of schedule and you know, obviously help get that going. I'm not sure if our document applies just to FAMs for like social media do's and don'ts and best practices, but we want to, if it does apply just to FAMs, we want to make it more general. So just like a document of how-to or best practices for a general social media takeover, and then find a way, again, like I said, to schedule that with each of them. And then also same thing for blogs. Caitlin, they know that they are each going to contribute 1 blog per month as well. So that should right now give us at least 4 social media takeovers per month and 4 blogs per month, because we have 4 really strong chapters right now. And then as we grow, it'll increase.
Yeah, I mean, I think I had the thought of doing like a takeover Tuesday or something, but I guess the only thought with that is that Prost is usually like on a Friday.
Sure.
So I'm not sure if that would work.
I think it could be any day, because like if we have, like, say we're having our first MIT event in person in LA, I think definitely there.
Maybe if we could even just have like a document on our Google Drive where they schedule, you know, there's the weeks that they're going to do, and the month of July, like week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, and you know, LA can go on and say, I'm doing this week, and because they're going to each do, that's like 1 a week if they're each going to do 1 per month.
Why wouldn't we use the calendar in the Asana?
Because our chapter officers don't all have access to that.
Oh, gotcha.
And then we have a maximum number of users for Asana right now.
Okay.
But
well, if we do, once we get somebody back in that chapter, or the national manager of operations, maybe that's the liaison who's coordinating all of that and is the one that's in Asana doing that.
Yeah, then we put it in our calendar. But the chapters need a way to
access
to set that date with Michelle, basically. So I'll let you think on that. They're ready to do it, so like we could kick that off in July if we wanted to.
Okay.
And again, that just pulls, you know, some of the work from your side, and again, increasing that. I think like it's twofold. Like, let's use these resources so that we're doing less work, and let's also increase engagement by getting people involved and engaged. All right. Anything else for community?
And also, just to clarify, I think that document that Michelle created is FAM focused. Okay. So we'll just have to kind of.
Everything applies. It's just changing the language slightly.
Yeah, just like some small edits that shouldn't take long at all.
Yeah, it's just a couple edits in the language. Cool. Okay. So Josh, did you have anything else? I know you started the meeting off with introduce?
No, I'm just gonna like jump back to there. We're constantly updating this the leadership page. So again,
Oh yeah, thank you for sharing that. Good idea.
so at the bottom of the Millennials Travel website, there's the leadership page, and then the password for, even though it says members only, it's because there's only one password protected template, and we use this for exclusive benefits. But leadership 21, let me see, leadership 2021, no, it's
just
leadership
21.
21. Leadership 21. So again, this is going to be like your email login, Asana project management. These are links to everything, all for the chapters, and the chapters have access to this. Anything that says TC is to come. So the event submission form, we're still developing. An officer welcome, we're still developing. I think, oh, this MIT social media takeover. Like, so for instance, that's TC because the other one was FAM specific. So yeah, we will need to develop that. Google Photo Library, I think we need to restructure that. So members, or not members, but other leadership have access to it. And it's easy to, I don't know if we do it by chapter and then events or whatnot. FAM documents, so I'm constantly updating these. But again, if there's any documents that you or people that you work with within Millennials in Travel need to access pretty frequently, we can put it on this page. So
yeah, I think ultimately the goal is like, this is your go-to platform for everything. You'll be able to log into the leadership landing page on the website and access everything you need. So if you do log in and you don't see something you need, let us know, because then we can make sure it's added.
I mean, if it's a one-off thing, like, oh, one time you needed, but everything else pretty much is document when you're talking with sponsors or talking with organizations or, you know, hotels. I mean, this is where we want you to come, and it's super easy. It's accessible by the phone. Yeah, two clicks and a wink, and you're there.
Yeah. Okay.
Sorry, I just had something, this might be kind of silly, but like, where is there like all of the chapters emails? Like, is there like an easy access
there's
to
a
their
link.
emails?
Yeah, Josh will show you right now. Watch the leadership contact form. The leadership contact list right there in the middle. Yeah. So if you go here, it'll take you to a document on Google Drive, and cool. You see chapters all along the bottom. So you got chapters, national, and then, yeah, that's it. So everyone's contact info is here, including the distribution list. So if you're like, which email goes to who, it's all right there.
Right. So like directors go to, there's managers at, officers at, events at.
Yeah.
Obviously this needs to be updated.
I keep the active, if you go back to the active chapters tab, I keep it updated as any changes happen. So it's, if any information's missing, it's because they haven't given it to me yet, but it's updated.
Right. So if we, promote goes to all that stuff. So I'll continue updating that this week as well. But that's where it is.
Cool. Thanks.
Other things, I don't really have anything else. I think I'm just continuing to work on the creation of forms. Zoho integration, I think we have to switch to Zoho 1, which is their larger comprehensive package, increased costs, but I think we can manage it. So yeah, and then I think, you know, bringing Derek on, you know, he's on this call just to kind of like see how we do this. Then, you know, 2 weeks later, just the directors will meet, have a different call. And then eventually the teams, or some of them are already happening, but I really haven't been having that frequent of team meetings with Elizabeth and Zach and Derek. So we'll be working on that. Elizabeth unfortunately isn't on this call, so no updates for partnerships. And I think as we've, you know, there's been a lot that we've been focusing on for or we want to focus on for philanthropy. So Zach, Monica, and I will have to meet and kind of figure out what strategies we're doing moving forward. So
I'm excited to hear about the philanthropy being included in the events for each chapter and for some of the FAMs. So excited to work on that with you guys.
Yeah, let's schedule a call. Josh, Zach, and myself, let's schedule a call because we can, Zach, quickly bring you up to speed on Asana and just get some ideas kind of fed into the pipeline to start getting things happening with because I think chapter in-person events are coming back next month. So it's happening and we want to make sure that philanthropy is included from the get-go. And I'd love to see it happen with FAMs right away too. So let's definitely do that. I'll try to follow up the schedule call with the two of you best. Okay, lastly, over to Kate for membership. And Josh probably with any Zoho integration updates, anything else membership wise. We really do need to come to a final decision on our membership model because, as I said, chapters are re-engaged, events are going to start happening. Obviously, we've already been on this call for over an hour now, so I don't want to have a huge debate about it. I think we've all kind of shared our feedback and our ideas about the membership model, and we just need to make a decision and go with it. So Josh, Kate, what would you like to share?
I mean, I don't know if again, we're still working on the integrate. It's
a process. It's been a process.
It can be easy, but then we're going to be backtracking and going, like, for instance, just in Zoho today, sometimes people are listed as US based tour operator, sometimes they're listed as tour operator. Like there's it's probably to my fault, but I want to make sure like everything is in place before we even move forward with something like this. But I feel that in the long run, it's going to be beneficial. Should we have everything set up and it's automated? And I mean, FAMs are going to be products. All of the Zoho forms for the surveys and everything they fill out are like actually going to be listed under surveys. There's things that we need to, Zoho wasn't designed for what we're trying to do. And I'm trying to fit a square peg in a round hole. And I just need to like use my chisel a lot more. Yeah.
Okay.
I think we'll get there. I want to say by the end of the month, I am confident that we'll have everything in place.
I mean, I guess, yeah, the priority, of course, is the membership form, right? So, because if we're going to start getting back out there with events and encouraging membership, we want that information. So, and that's the big thing, right? That's like the main.
It's more than that, because once you start moving with this direction, it's hard to backtrack and add a new thing like the membership. We need to determine what the membership model is, because that needs to be labeled as a product in Zoho, and then the product is attached to a contact.
Right.
So there's, yeah, a lot of things are going to be products in the system but we're not a sales organization like other companies would use, and so it's just tweaking things. But let's we'll just move forward. So we'll have to, we'll continue to chat about the membership model. We'll, next direct
we'll have like a decision at the end of this month, because
yeah, let's figure let's continue to talk in 2 weeks at the directors meeting and finalize it. Just move forward.
Okay. If anyone has any other input, please do share with us.
Mon, what was the primary reason? There was one thing that I brought up because I had to listen to the call. And then
so the concern was, I think we came away from that last call that you weren't on the last national leadership meeting with everyone in agreement that people are willing to pay an annual membership due and pay a small fee to attend an event, right? Everyone, like, I think.
Oh, right.
But your concern was minimizing transactions because of the amount we have to pay out for fees every time something is charged.
Right. So that's the
it almost is.
Right. So basically, like we're paying for every transaction, there's a flat fee and then there's a percentage. So if we're having, say, one person is buying the national membership, they're paying this, and then they're doing 4 events. We're kind of just throwing some money out the window, because if we were to group them together, or give them an access pass plus the national thing, we're not giving money to to a random company, that being Stripe or whatever payment process we're using. So trying to minimize transactions, and maybe that equates to two models. Maybe it's a membership and then a membership plus events. I'm not really sure. We can explore that in the future, but my concern was, yes, the number of transactions per person.
Yeah. The only issue we run into is like, okay, if we set it as a program, as a model where it's a membership plus like an access pass, then we have to really count on all of our active chapters having this minimum number of events, which is what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to get them to commit to these 4 events per year. But we know in the past that like that hasn't always happened that way. So
we can also.
We
can also, with Zoho One, we can also create. They have subscriptions as one of their apps. So like, there are different things that we can look at, and I may be overthinking this and over dramatizing the amount of money that we're throwing away or giving to Stripe.
Yeah.
It's possible, but if you take, I want to maybe even if it's like 30 cents a transaction plus 2.7%, like, then on average, somebody's booking like 5 times, that's $1.50 when it could have been 30 cents. So $1.20 per person times like 2,500 members. That's, like almost $3,000.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, but at the same time, I think simplicity is key and not like making it too complicated.
Well,
and any transaction at the end of the day is more money, even if we are losing some money.
Okay. We'll figure it out, and we'll
we'll make a final decision. But so we'll make a final decision, I guess, in 2 weeks, and have an official announcement rolled out by the end of the month. So that's our timeline. Josh, Kate, and Caitlin, we'll do that, and then. But if anyone has any other feedback or ideas about a membership model, please let us know. All right. So last but not least, over to Kim, exclusive benefits.
Yeah, thanks. I don't have much of an update. We put together that letter. I got feedback from you guys, so thank you for your help on that. So I have a template ready to go out, and I have a list that I've brainstormed of ideas, and I know Monica and I have chatted about ideas too. So I had good intentions after I wrote the blog for the Dallas fam. I was gonna start getting that out, and then the last few weeks have been crazy with people wanting to travel. So I have blocked time in my schedule this week to spend about an hour tracking down some contact info and sending out that benefits letters to some different companies. But if anybody has any ideas or suggestions for benefits you think members would like to see, please let me know.
Great, thank you. And do you have, Josh, have we provided Kim with a list of our current benefits that are listed and make sure that they're
it's on the
active?
website, but I don't
like the contact people though, the contact people for those?
They've all since changed, like Emma and with Under Canvas and like.
Well, Emma's still with Hawaiian, but yeah. So we probably just need to make sure that what we have currently is, if it needs to be removed, let's remove it right now before we start building new benefits.
And then also this is for you, Derek, because you're new to the industry, new to the organization. If there's any ideas that you have, whether it's exclusive benefits, and that's was really created to discounts or value add, or there's like headshots or resume writing or things like that. You have a really fresh eyes on the organization and on travel and the industry, and I think that could be of great value. So if there's any type of like feedback that you have in any of these programs or anything that we're doing, even if it's not applicable just to Gen Z, I think those fresh eyes, a lot of us,
absolutely.
like 10, 14 years, like we just know the way it is and we kind of operate like under that MO. But I think that, you could also.
And at the end of the day, trying to incentivize the Gen Z recent graduate to join an organization, to feel comfortable. And like, if it is getting that that headshot to make them look professional, that those job description openings, I think those are some pretty good highlights to keep going down. But absolutely, I'll give you my 2 cents on everything.
Cool. I think the last we have professional development, again, an open position. The jobs are coming in. I think, which is exciting. I have generally seen that they're like not, I want to say lower level by any means, but it's a lot of entry level-esque jobs. And I don't know if that's because the roles that, you know, people, everybody's roles have changed. And so they're, what they're doing has been reallocated or like reabsorbed. And so, I mean, I don't know what it's going to look like, but people are hiring. Again, it's pretty easy for us to get jobs up on the website now. Because before we used to have them fill out a form and then it was in a template, and now we just, you know, it's a link to whatever they want. If it's their Indeed.com or if it's their, you know, their website, or if it's even a PDF. I mean, I could sometimes get Word documents. I'll create a PDF out of it, but like, whatever. We just want to get that. I think that's going to be our next press release is jobs coming back. I don't know if that's going to come before or after the fact that we're relaunching and our original shutters on the beach location, but one or the other. So yeah, again, this will be, this is recorded. So for those that haven't been on it, they can listen to it on YouTube. There's, I will send the link. I will actually put the link to the YouTube channel for leadership on the leadership page on the website. That'll be a good one.
Great. Okay. I think that's it. Does anyone have anything else to add? Okay. Thank you all.
Cool.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
everybody.
Thank you.
Nice meeting you all.
Bye.
Nice to meet you, Darius.
Thank you. Bye.